Welcome to Tank Talk. I'm your host, Bob Tankard. And this morning's guest is Maria Trice. And Maria, you're the mom of Joshua Jones.
I am the privileged mom of Josh
Privileged
Jones.
mom. Let me tell you something. A mom and dad are always privileged to have children. And it's a privilege, really, in a sense.
It
it's a privilege,
is. It absolutely is.
Maria, tell us a little bit about Maria, and then tell us a little bit about Josh.
Yes, I'd love to.
Okay.
I am the mother of 3 children, and I have 2 children that are on the autistic spectrum. And what is autism?
Right. Yeah, it's important.
Autism is
because there's different stages of autism.
Yes, but it's a social and communication disorder that affects them in early childhood and through the rest of their life. And the world really needs to understand it better and create a sense of community so that they can be received well and have the lives and the things that we want for our children.
Right.
We want them to, as parents, we want to facilitate greatness.
Right,
Yes.
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
so Joshua has created a whole new identity down at Lower Circuit working for Biscuits and
I saw, well, I want to say something. I saw him the other day. I went to Biscuits with a friend of mine I grew up with in New Jersey. And he walked in, and Chris walks over, and he says, "Coach, you interviewed Josh." I said, "Yeah, I did." He says, "Thank you, man, great." All of a sudden, Josh walks over to me. He grabs my hand like that, and he says, "Hi." And I says, "Hey, Josh, how you doing?" I said, "You know what, thing? You're going to be on television pretty soon." And he went, and he says, "I'll see you later," and then walked away.
I'm so appreciative of Chris and Celeste at Biscuits because they really, really introduced the whole Lower Circuit. Fun and Son, Nancy.
Right.
I'm just Josh's mom because they just really have a whole new understanding of different abilities.
Right.
And Josh's unique ability to really care about facts, love animals. He's been accepted into the prestigious Gersh experience, which will provide a way of him becoming independent and going to college and getting degrees and maybe even having a show like this.
Well, you know what?
Talking about animals.
Let me tell you something. I was amazed, and I have a grandson who loves animals. He loves to know about fish and all that.
Right.
And he goes into deep understanding. He'll get on my computer and go way into the information you need to know about certain fish. He's got certain fish. And when Joshua was explaining to us about all the different animals and the habitats and the species, I'm saying to myself, how does this kid know all this? At a young age, I'm looking at him and he's just saying, go to the library. And you would have thought that he would have saw all kinds of movies, and yet he said, "No, go into the library," and the library teaches me that. It was unbelievable. I was so impressed walking out of there.
The singular focus and the uniqueness about autism, because it's such a challenge, they can really zero in on things that they have a passion about or they're curious about, particularly depending on their ability to have language. There are children, like my older son, does not have the language ability that Joshua has, and that's where the behaviors and the frustration happens. With autism, there's 1 in 59 children that will be diagnosed on the spectrum in this country. 1 in 37 are male, 1 in 151 are female.
Wow.
That is huge. So there has to be a groundswell of support to really understand this audience so that they can have productive and independent lives. I'm starting in the fall a 501c3 entitled Any Port in a Storm, which will eradicate autism and provide services for families that are challenged with this.
One thing, when I was in education, we had kids that were, on the spectrum. We had a young girl that was Down syndrome. And you know what my thing was?
What?
First of all, you love them no matter what.
Completely.
You know what I mean? And number 2, you treat them as though they were any normal child with no deficiencies, okay? And you make them responsible for themselves, for their actions and the things that they do. The young lady I'm talking about, whom I love, I used to tell her, "I'm going to marry you someday." And she used to laugh and giggle and everything else, you know what I mean?
My.
Today, she comes back and forth on the boat by herself.
Wow.
And when she sees me, she says, "Hi, Coach, how you doing?" She gives me a hug. And then she lives in an apartment over there on the Cape.
So she's independent.
Independent.
And that's what we want for all our children.
And her mother, I love her mother because her mother made her be responsible, gave her the love, her sister and brother and her dad. And I said to myself, that's what it's about.
That's all it's about, creating community, creating humanity, giving everyone an opportunity to really embrace different abilities.
You know, one thing, you've done a great job with Josh because,
Thank you.
you know, when I began to interview him,
Yes.
it was like, okay, is he going to be able to come out and answer my questions? And although it took some time from time to time, he was on cue.
Oh,
You know,
absolutely.
and then it began, once he began to feel easy about it.
And
you
relaxed.
See, and relaxed, it
Yes.
became a lot more easier.
Absolutely. And the wealth of knowledge Joshua has about animals is mind-boggling. I mean, sometimes my jaw drops and I have to just pick it up to say, is that really coming out of my baby? My young man.
Right.
But it's a thrill. It's a thrill.
Marie, I want to thank you. You got to come back sometime
You
when
know?
you're doing to do your show. When you get, I want you to come back, okay?
Yes.
And do a show of your own here on Tank Talk.
You know, I would love to.
Okay.
Especially talking about the foundation or anything else.
That'd be great.
I
That'd
would
be great.
love that. What a pleasure.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
And now here's Josh. Hey, welcome to Tank Talk. I'm your host, Bob Tankard. And this evening's guest is Joshua Jones. And fun fact, Josh, welcome to Tank Talk. I know you're busy. I know you're working at Biscuits with Chris Arcudi down there. I saw you down there last year. Josh, tell us a little bit about who Josh is. Where are you from?
Yes, I'm from Teaneck, New Jersey.
Okay, Teaneck, New Jersey. Okay, and tell me something. What brought you here to Martha's Vineyard?
Oh, the ferry.
The ferry. Okay, and you came with Mom.
Yes.
Okay, and Mom told me. Tell me a little bit about the fun fact. What's that about?
Well, fun fact, which means I'm knowledgeable of something. Like animals is one thing.
Okay, and she told me when I met with Mom that you had a very good understanding about animals. Tell me a little bit about your knowledge of animals and how you got involved in that.
I think a book.
Okay, all right. And what type of animals do you basically get involved in? All the animals, you know, is it dogs, cats, you know, different types of animals?
Yes.
Okay. And what do you, when you look in your books, what do you basically look for?
I kind of look for primates.
Primates?
Yes.
So when I say a primate, I'm looking at monkeys, gorillas,
Yes.
and stuff like that. And what do you find interesting about them?
They come in all shapes and sizes.
Mm-hmm. Uh-huh.
And they have some have tails,
Right.
some don't.
Right. When you say primates, what do you study about the primates?
I study the families and
Okay.
and genuses and species.
Okay. Tell me about the families, the different families.
Well, there are posimians,
Mm-hmm.
which are 90 species,
Mm-hmm.
and apes,
Mm-hmm.
which are 21 species, and monkeys, which are about 271 species.
Wow. Well, and tell me, how did you get involved in this? How did you get, other than the books? You study that regularly? You go to the zoo, or you films, or how do you?
Yes, the zoo.
Okay. And you study each of the different 200 and some odd species of monkeys?
71.
271?
Yes.
And you know each one of them?
Yes, almost. Which is why I've read the primate family tree back at Oak Bluffs Library.
Okay. Let's go back to the ape. You said how many primates are apes?
21.
21. Okay. Location. Where are they mostly located?
Well, they're mostly located in Asia and Africa.
Asian. So we have Asian apes.
Gibbons and orangutans.
Okay. And are they the African ape? Is that the big ones? The gray, like they raise the graybacks or the
Silverbacks.
silverbacks?
Silverbacks are male gorillas.
Huh?
Silverbacks are male gorillas.
Male gorillas, right? But are they bigger than the Asian apes? Or they're about the same size?
Well, I think gorillas tend to be bigger than orangutans.
Okay.
And chimps are kind of bigger than gibbons.
Okay. So, and so that the silverbacks are the biggest, right?
Yes.
And they have am I not mistaken? I saw a program probably a month ago on the National Geographic Channel, and it had a feature on the gorillas, the silverbacks. And the silverbacks have a clan, like, don't they? Don't they? Go ahead, explain that.
Gorillas are in groups of up to 20 or 40 individuals.
Really? 20 or 40 individuals, and that silverback
Is the leader.
Of that group?
Yeah. The dominant male is the leader.
Okay. Now, how long will he lead?
How long will he lead?
Yeah.
The thing is, I don't think I have gone to his lifespan.
Mm-hmm. But so, in other words, when does another one take over? Is it when he dies, or does a battle have to take place? Does he always have to battle for his?
Perhaps either way.
Okay.
I think the same. I think some of the same thing is done with lions.
Okay. So lions have.
Lions have only 40 pride individuals, but most are females and cubs.
And the pride is led by one lion, right?
Male lion.
One male lion, right? And the pride is made up of how many females usually?
I think 3 to 12.
Okay. So he has to protect the 12 female.
But also the cubs.
And the cubs.
Yeah.
So when you're talking about domination, each one of these clans or tribes or prides have a male that's the leader.
Yeah.
And then at some point in time, that male has to give up that leadership.
Or maybe, or perhaps sometimes they die and a new male takes over.
Most of the time in America, we don't see, other than going to a zoo, we don't see lions and tigers and all those things loose.
No.
But if you go to Africa or India and those places, then you do see them loose.
Yes.
Okay. How does it affect those societies?
It affects them. If there was a dangerous attack, or perhaps animals can rob, like taking things that are not theirs.
Okay.
As like bandits.
Right.
Or perhaps scavenge.
So, okay. So if they're in India, for instance, the tiger and the leopard are normally will come into a village and take the animals.
Yeah.
Or sometimes people.
Yes, that's because they're known to be man-eaters.
Okay. Are they man-eaters or are they just meat-eaters?
Well, they are carnivores.
Okay.
And they do eat meat.
Okay. So they would just for them to take a goat would be the same if they took a man. It wouldn't really make any difference to them.
I think it wouldn't make a difference.
So let me ask you something. What do you want to accomplish? What do you want to invest your time in?
Invest my time.
Yeah, invest your time in as you study these animals, right? What do you want to accomplish?
I think you should know what the habitats they live in.
Okay.
Or the continents they live on.
Okay.
Or what they eat and how they live.
So if I went to Africa, say, all right, first of all, I would probably not wander off into the bush by myself. I'd have to have a guide.
Yeah.
Right? And I would have to allow that guide to show me where to go. And I shouldn't be foolish enough if I saw lions or tigers or whatever, just to get out of the vehicle and approach them, like some people tend to sometimes do. Right? Is that,
yeah. Or some animals may approach the vehicle, like leopards and cheetahs. Actually, the cheetah could climb up to the vehicle as a lookout.
They'll climb on the vehicle as a lookout, but would they normally attack what's in the vehicle?
Uh, Actually, they wouldn't.
Okay. They'll just look on as a lookout, and they'll probably leave the people alone? And let me ask you this question. When people go on safaris, like in Africa or other places, in those places, are the vehicles covered, protected wise?
Yeah, yes. Some of them are, or some of them may not be.
But you're saying that a cheetah wouldn't really attack normally?
Actually, it could bite.
Yeah.
Cheetahs not known to be man-eaters.
Is that right? I never knew that. They're not normally to be man-eaters. They rather get a gazelle or some type of animal of that nature, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Only the bigger cats, like lions, tigers, mountain lions, and leopards.
Let me ask you a question about this. I read an article and I saw a documentary on mountain lions. Now, the mountain lions are America,
Yeah,
you know?
probably widespread of the Americas.
Right. But they're not as visible as one would seem. In other words, when individuals go out looking for them, they have to really hunt them down. They're not a visible animal. But they can strike at a second.
But the jaguar isn't sometimes a visible animal too. I think those two are known to be the ghosts of the cat world.
Okay. So when a person, say, you've probably read and heard that sometimes in places like California, Montana, up in the mountains, or where they have these, people hike and people jog, and next thing you know, they get hit by a mountain lion. Never saw it, they never heard it, nothing, and all of a sudden, bang, that lion had to study them for a while, or they must have been at the point where that lion was, or how's that happen?
Well, I think it works when they're in stealth mode. And stealth mode is that they had to be very sneaky.
And they live in dens, don't they? Mountain lions live in dens.
Yes. Any den, whether it's under a tree, or in a rock crevice.
Okay, all right. So is that the reason why? And they're not really people social. In other words,
I think solitary.
They're solitary. Right. Because that's why it's so hard to find them.
Yeah.
Give me something. Do you know anything about bears?
Oh, yes.
Okay. Tell me about some bears. You got the black bear. That's in New England, up in New England. Okay. And then you have the brown bear, the polar bear, the grizzly.
Yes, but the grizzly is a subspecies of brown bear.
Okay. All right.
But bears are kind of easy. And there are about 8 species throughout the world.
8 species of bears are out the world, huh?
Yeah.
Now, what's in the United States?
Well, the ones in the United States are the grizzly and the black. I think the brown bear, which you call the grizzly, and
so the grizzly and the brown are the same.
Yes. And also the American black bear.
But the American black bear is a smaller bear, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay. And the grizzly and the brown bear, are they the same size? Because the grizzlies are big. They can be like 9 feet tall, can't they?
Yes, but not as big as the Kodiak.
Right, that was the other one. And where's the Kodiak normally?
I think from Alaska or the Kodiak Islands.
Okay. Now, the biggest of all the bears,
the polar bear.
It's the polar bear. We know that. They're
very endangered due to global warming.
But people don't believe in global warming. And yet, when you see all your documentaries, you don't see the snow anymore, where polar bears usually navigate their way, their habitat. You don't see a lot of that anymore, and they're running to find areas. So you're saying global warming is affecting them a lot.
Yes.
Now, does it affect the global warming? Does that affect the Kodiak and the grizzly in the same manner?
Yes, due to species coexistence, some the brown bear and the polar bear may fight over food.
Oh, right, that's right. Are they so that close together? Their domains are that close together?
Yes, but yes, and the Alaskan brown bear.
Right. So they're fighting over the food.
Yes.
Now, one of the things that's happening, and I don't know if you would know this, but you probably would, is that there is an abundance of caribou. Caribou up in that area.
Yeah.
And they're trying to protect the caribou because that is the food that a lot of those bears sometimes use for the winter before they go into hibernation and all that stuff. Am I right or wrong?
Perhaps you may be right. Well, caribou is a polar bear's natural diet.
Right.
And also salmon.
Right. Salmon, when they come up upstream to spawn.
Yes.
And the polar bears are right there waiting for them. In fact, all the bears, anytime you have a salmon stream,
Salmon
run, all the bears go there.
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't make a difference what species it is, right?
But it's the polar bear, brown bear.
Right. But black bears don't normally do that?
Actually, they may.
But most bears like berries, right?
Yes, and perhaps honey.
Right.
Have you heard of Winnie the Pooh?
Huh?
Winnie the Pooh?
No, I haven't.
Stuffed bear likes honey.
Oh, Winnie the Pooh. You said Winnie the Pooh?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I know Winnie the Pooh, man. I take care of my grandchildren all the time. I didn't understand. Winnie the Pooh, yes, he loved honey.
Yeah.
Yes, Winnie the Pooh loved honey. So tell me something. This year, where are you going to venture out to see some of this? Where are you going to see some of the different things that you talked about?
I've been to the library.
Okay.
And I've also been to the Bronx Zoo a lot.
Bronx Zoo. I remember going to the Bronx Zoo when I was a kid. That was one of the biggest zoos in America at one point.
Yeah.
Now I think might be the San Diego Zoo might have surpassed that.
Or the North Carolina Zoo.
Right. So when you go to the zoos, do you go to see specific things? Specific animals?
Most certainly.
Which ones do you go to see?
Well, bears are one thing.
Okay.
Then lions,
Okay.
then gorillas,
Uh-huh.
species of monkeys,
Uh-huh.
and perhaps the other bigger cats like the snow leopard and tiger, Siberian tiger.
Which one is bigger, the Siberian tiger, the biggest one?
Yes.
Or is it Indian tiger?
They call it the Bengal tiger.
The Bengal. The Bengal is the biggest?
No, the
Siberian?
Siberian.
Weight. Give me some weight. It could be 600, 700 pounds?
Perhaps more than 1,000 pounds.
Really? Wow. That's huge.
Well, not as huge as the elephant.
Oh, no, the elephants are...
Much bigger.
Oh, much bigger. Much bigger.
And
Then you have the Indian elephant, you have the African elephant, and you tell them by the ears.
Yeah.
The African elephant had big ears. Indian elephant has small ears, right?
Well, I think Indian's not the only subspecies of elephant in Asia.
Really? How many species of elephants?
Well, there is the Asiatic elephant, only
Right.
4 subspecies.
Right.
And the African elephant has 2 extant species. The African bush elephant lives in the open savannas of Africa, and the forest elephant is only found in the rainforests.
All right. Well, Josh, listen, this has been a great opportunity for me and the audience to hear about your knowledge of animals and the different species. I want to thank you for coming on to Tank Talk, okay? And I welcome you on again. And I want to thank you for tuning into Tank Talk. And this is your host, Bob Tankard, saying, until next time, good evening.